Why do empires end? What unseen forces conspire to bring down even the most formidable powers? The ruins of Rome whisper the answer if we are willing to listen closely. The Colosseum stones, once alive with the roar of crowds and the clash of gladiators, now stand as a silent skeleton beneath the Italian sun, a stark reminder of vanished glory. Rome was more than a city. It was an idea, a powerful vision of order, law and civilization that seemed eternal, destined to rule the world. Its fall wasn't a single cataclysmic event, like a sudden earthquake, but a slow, agonizing unraveling over centuries, a gradual erosion from within and without. We often imagine a dramatic collapse, a swift and decisive end, but the truth is a far more nuanced and unsettling story of gradual decay, a slow fade into obscurity. The symptoms of its decline appeared long before the final breath, subtle warnings that were often ignored or misunderstood. Picture the Roman Forum at its height, the heart of the empire, senators debating matters of state, their voices echoing through the halls of power, soldiers marching with unwavering discipline, their legions securing the vast borders of the empire, ships unloading treasures and resources from across the known world, fueling the engine of Roman prosperity. Rome was the undisputed center of gravity for a vast, diverse empire, a melting pot of cultures and ideas. But over time, cracks began to appear. Confidence faded, replaced by doubt and uncertainty. Unity cracked under the weight of internal strife and external pressures, and distant provinces once loyal and integrated felt increasingly less Roman, more exploited. Rome slowly transformed into a distant tax collector, demanding tribute but offering little protection or benefit in return. The very idea of Rome, the unifying force that had held the empire together for centuries, gradually lost its power and appeal. Its fall warns us, a chilling reminder that even the mightiest structures, the most seemingly invincible empires, can crumble into dust. Today, modern Rome bustles with life, a vibrant metropolis built directly above the ancient bones of its imperial past. The past is never truly gone, it's just beneath the surface, waiting to be rediscovered and reinterpreted. The fall of Rome isn't just a dusty chapter in a history book. It's a mirror reflecting our own societies, our own strengths, and our own vulnerabilities. In its story, we see our own challenges amplified and illuminated by the passage of time, managing power responsibly and justly, facing inequality and ensuring a fair distribution of resources, and understanding the fragility of order, the constant need to safeguard the foundations of our civilizations. The ghost of Rome still walks among us, a silent observer of our triumphs and failures, whispering a timeless question. What truly makes a civilization last, and what seeds of destruction do we unknowingly sow today? Rome's power was built on more than just the strength of its swords and the might of its legions. It was a more complex and nuanced tapestry of influence. It was built on stone, yes, the very foundations of their cities, but also on the bedrock of powerful ideas. Its roads, a marvel of engineering stretching from the rugged terrains of Scotland all the way to the fertile lands of Mesopotamia, tied the vast empire together, creating arteries of commerce and communication. Messages and orders travelled with astonishing speed along these routes, a testament to Roman efficiency, enforcing Roman control and ensuring the smooth functioning of the empire's administrative machine. The legions were more than just soldiers, fearsome as they were in battle. They were also skilled engineers, capable of constructing roads, bridges and fortifications, builders and citizens, contributing to the empire's growth and prosperity in countless ways. They built the very infrastructure that secured the empire, ensuring its longevity and stability, and enforced the Pax Romana, a period of relative peace and prosperity that allowed the empire to flourish. But perhaps Rome's greatest strength, the cornerstone of its enduring legacy, was its law. Roman law created a common standard of justice and governance, giving people a stake in the empire and fostering a sense of shared identity and belonging. It was revolutionary, a radical departure from the arbitrary rule of local chieftains and kings. You were part of a larger, ordered system governed by laws and principles, not just subject to the whims of a local ruler, but protected by the rights and privileges of Roman citizenship. This legal framework more than even the most disciplined armies, held the diverse and sprawling empire together, binding its disparate peoples with a common sense of purpose. Rome exported its language, Latin architecture, with its grand columns and imposing structures, and way of life, shaping the cultures of the lands it conquered. Cities across the empire mirrored Rome, emulating its urban planning and architectural style, and local elites, eager to climb the social ladder, actively sought Roman citizenship, embracing Roman customs and values. To be Roman was to be civilized, to be cultured, to be part of something greater than oneself, part of the greatest project in human history, a civilization that shaped the world for centuries to come. Rome's true conquest was not just of land, but of the mind, a cultural and intellectual dominance that left an indelible mark on the world. A shared identity, a common culture that transcended borders and united people from all corners of the empire. Rome's vastness, its sprawling territories and immense power, was both its greatest strength and ultimately a significant weakness. The sheer scale of the empire presented challenges that would eventually contribute to its decline. The same meticulously constructed roads that unified the empire, facilitating trade and communication across vast distances, also inadvertently spread news of rebellion and dissent, allowing subversive ideas to travel quickly from one corner of the empire to another. Wealth pouring in from the provinces created a super-rich elite, a class of individuals whose opulence and extravagance stood in stark contrast to the struggles of the common citizen. Meanwhile, small farmers, the backbone of Roman society, increasingly lost their land to wealthy landowners and became an unemployed urban mob, swelling the ranks of the disaffected and creating social unrest in the major cities. This growing inequality bred resentment and instability, fueling social tensions and undermining the sense of shared purpose that had once united the Roman people. Corruption flourished at all levels of society. Bribery and graft became commonplace. Political power was openly bought and sold, eroding public trust in the institutions of government. The Senate, once the cornerstone of Roman governance, gradually lost its authority and influence, and real power shifted to ambitious generals and increasingly autocratic emperors, setting the stage for further instability. Leadership became a deadly game of intrigue and betrayal. Civil war was a constant threat, as rival factions battled for control of the empire. The crisis of the 3rd century, a period of intense political and economic turmoil, nearly tore the empire apart, leaving it weakened and vulnerable. To solve chronic manpower shortages in the military, citizenship was granted to nearly all free men within the empire, a desperate measure that, while intended to bolster the ranks, ultimately devalued its meaning and diluted the sense of Roman identity. The army increasingly relied more on foreign recruits, often from conquered territories, whose loyalty was often primarily to their commanders, who offered them land and wealth rather than to Rome itself. The citizen militia, once composed of patriotic Romans defending their homeland, gradually became a mercenary force motivated by pay rather than civic duty. As a result, the very foundation of Roman identity, the shared values and traditions that had sustained the empire for centuries, began to erode, leaving it vulnerable to internal strife and external threats. Barbarians? The word conjures chaos, but the reality was complex. Tribes like the Goths and Vandals had their own societies and often lived alongside Rome. Rome played tribes against each other, recruited them as soldiers, and settled them on the frontiers. This blurred the line between Roman and barbarian. In the late 4th century, the Huns swept in, pushing tribes like the Goths to Rome's borders. In 376 AD, the Goths, fleeing the Huns, begged to cross the Danube as refugees. Roman commanders exploited and mistreated them. Starved and humiliated, the Goths revolted. What began as a migration crisis became a war inside Roman territory. This was not a simple invasion, but a disaster born of Roman greed and incompetence. As Rome's political order fractured, its spiritual world transformed. For centuries, Romans worshipped many gods, with religion intertwined with the state. Christianity, once persecuted, offered a new promise: one God, salvation and community. Its appeal grew, especially among the poor and marginalized. Conflict followed. Christians refused to worship Roman gods, seen as treason by many. Persecution couldn't stop the faith's spread. The turning point came with Constantine's conversion. Christianity became the empire's favored religion. Churches rose, bishops gained power, and the old gods faded. The new faith brought unity, but also new divisions and theological conflict. Loyalty shifted from emperor to god, weakening the old ideological glue that held Rome together. The Gothic War climaxed at Adrianople in 378 AD. Emperor Valens, overconfident, faced the Goths without reinforcements. The Roman legions, expecting victory, were crushed. Two-thirds of the eastern army was wiped out. Valens was killed. The defeat shattered the myth of Roman invincibility. Rome now relied even more on barbarian recruits, making the army increasingly Germanic. The Goths became a permanent self-governing presence inside the empire. This set a precedent. Other groups saw Rome's weakness and forced their way in. The gates were breached, politically and literally. For centuries, Rome was inviolate, the eternal city. In 410 AD, the Visigoths under Alaric stood at its gates. Alaric, once a Roman general, felt betrayed by the empire. The siege brought starvation and desperation. Negotiations failed. A gate was opened from within. The Goths looted for 3 days, not total destruction, but a profound violation. The news sent shockwaves across the world. St. Jerome wept, St. Augustine wrote, urging faith in the eternal, not the earthly. The sack was a mortal wound, not the end. Rome was sacked again in 455 by the Vandals. The Western Empire was now a hollow shell, its provinces ruled by Germanic kings. The order that held the world together was gone. The final act was quiet, almost anticlimactic. In 476 AD, the boy emperor Romulus Augustulus was deposed by Odoacer, a Germanic chieftain. Odoacer sent the imperial insignia to Constantinople, ending the line of Western emperors. Romulus was spared, retired with a pension. The date marks the end of the Western Roman Empire, but for contemporaries it was just another step in a long decline. The political unity of the West was gone, replaced by a patchwork of new kingdoms. These rulers imitated Roman ways, but the world had changed. Roads decayed, trade collapsed, cities shrank. The interconnected Roman world gave way to isolated societies. The so-called Dark Ages had begun. The Western Empire was gone, but Rome's spirit endured. In the East, the Byzantine Empire preserved Roman law, culture, and administration. In the West, Rome's legacy shaped language, the church, and law. The Catholic Church became the dominant institution modeled on Roman systems. The idea of a universal empire was reborn with Charlemagne. Rome's greatest gift was its law, principles that still underpin modern legal systems. Empires crumble, but their dust settles on everything after. Standing in Rome today, the past and present coexist. The story of Rome's fall reminds us power is fleeting, societies can unravel, but ideas of law, citizenship, and order can outlive empires. These are the echoes that never fade.